Good. I'm glad to be back here in Topeka and see a lot of familiar and friendly faces out there. Look forward to working with everybody again. I just wanted to start out with, we've got a few new people here, two of which are in the room. We're still missing one, but I'd like to go around and just introduce everybody, basically so everybody gets to know who each other is. I mean, it's going to be, you're on I think a really good committee. We're going to have some good insights and fun and interesting testimonies as we move forward this year. So why don't we go ahead and start with Representative Auerkamp, and we'll just make our way around. Let's tell us who you are, where you're from, and how long you've been here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Francis Auerkamp, District 61, which is the rural part of Pottawatomie County and also the southwest corner of Jackson County, including Holton. First elected in 2016 and currently serve on the Welfare Reform and Tax Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, just keep on going.
Tobias Schlingensiep, District 55, which runs from Washburn University, 21st Street to the Kansas River between Gage and Topeka Boulevard, roughly. This is the beginning of my second term, and I serve on this committee, Corrections and Juvenile Justice, and also Ag and Natural Resources.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Melton, District 36, and that's Western Wyandotte, out by the Speedway, the Legends, and all of that. And I served on this committee last session as well, and this is my beginning of my second session.
Good morning. I'm Chip Van Houten, District 26, South Johnson County, which is Spring Hill and South Olathe, and this is my first term.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Carmichael. I'm the state representative from the 92nd District of Kansas. That is an area immediately northwest of downtown Wichita. It is inhabited by retired school teachers, retired professors, old hippies, and other lefties like me. This is my 12th continuous year on this committee. I also serve on Corrections and Juvenile Justice, the Judiciary Committee, the Joint Committee on Rules and Regulations, and the State 911 Council, soon to be the State 911 Board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. I'm Cindy Neighbor. I'm from the 18th District. It's from what I call the heart of Shawnee, and I've got a lot of people who have areas around me. And then I have 3 wonderful new precincts in Merriam. And I'm starting my 16th consecutive year on this committee. It is something very near and dear to my heart. I'm also on Children and Families, and I'm ranking on insurance. So glad to be here today. Thank you.
Representative Smith, why don't you go ahead?
Mr. Chair, I didn't have my mic on, did I? Yeah. Everybody heard me. Hey, it's good to see you guys. Thanks.
Smith, go ahead.
Chuck Smith from Pittsburgh, Kansas, District 3, which is pretty much just Pittsburgh. I do have a couple small towns that are attached to Pittsburgh, but it's pretty much just Pittsburgh. This is my 7th year. I'm a retired Catholic school math teacher and have 7 children. They're all out of college. They're all married. They all have jobs. And I'm a blessed man. So I'm really glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Mark Schreiber. I represent the 60th District, which is primarily Emporia and Northwest Lyon County. This will be my 9th year on this committee as a legislator, but I've been attending this committee since about 2001. So it's been quite interesting all along. And really, I mean, I've also served on judiciary, education, legislative modernization. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nick Hoeisel, 97th District, Southwest Wichita. This is my 6th year on this committee. I had 4 years and then I had a year break and I was back on last year because Chairman just can't give me a break. So he has me back on. I asked not to be on this committee this year, I'll have you all know, and here I am on this committee again. Actually begged to be off this committee. Now, I look forward to working with everybody. I also chair the Banking and Pensions Committee, as well as serving on the Tax Committee and the Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Webster Roth, go by Webb. District 79, which is Northern Cali County, Northern Sumner County. This is my second biennium, and so I was on this committee last year, and I appreciate the chairman letting me come back again this year. And so I look forward to working with everybody and what we can get done this year. I'm also on Ag and Natural Resources budget and also Ag and Natural Resources. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everyone. My name is Representative Casey Hobson. I represent the 89th District in Wichita. It's primarily the northeast part of town. I am Representative Brickquist's neighbor to the south. This is actually my 9th year here in the legislature, my 4th year on this committee. Let me see. Ranking. And I also serve on this committee, Transportation, and also General Budgets this year. And Mr. Chairman, glad to be back this year, working with you, and also my friend from McPherson is here as the vice chair. I know that we have a lot of challenges ahead, and from my side of the aisle, definitely working with your side. Definitely we can make things work and for the betterment of the people of Kansas. So sure. I look forward to working with you.
I appreciate having you back as my ranking. I really fought for that, and I'm glad to have you back.
I hear you on that.
Now we've got a really unusual one. Normally, you don't have a freshman as a vice chair, but we got a freshman vice chair, don't we?
You'll see the truth in that soon enough. So I'm Rick Wilburn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. I'm Rick Wilburn, representing the 73rd District, which is primarily 2/3 of McPherson County. As many of you know, I've had the opportunity to serve on many committees on the Senate side, including utilities. This is one of my favorite committees because it is so important to the prosperity and the future of the state of Kansas. So I'm looking forward to being of help where I can, and I am very blessed to have been greeted very nicely by House members, and which came as a surprise coming from. So with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, and I truly appreciate you being on here. I'm glad to have you. We have another new member that walked in. What we're doing is just introduce who you are, where you're from, and if you got any background you can give us on it as it pertains to utilities or energy, that'd be great. If not, that's fine.
I'm Lauren Bohai from House District 15, which is Southwest Olathe and parts of Johnson County. And as far as energy and utilities, the most that I've done with that is help get utility rebates for developers about 10 years ago. So yeah.
Well, welcome to the committee. Yeah, it'll be an exciting one. There'll be a lot to learn here as you go, but we are appreciative of having you. I'm Leo Delberdang. I'm sorry. Yeah, you already went. But I'm the chairman again for the 3rd year now. Look forward to working with everybody out there. I would like to do one kind of housekeeping thing. Mr. Smith, in previous years, you preferred sitting out for, would you like to switch with Patrick Penn's position there? And I've already talked to Mr. Penn about it.
I don't hear very well, so I sat over there just so I could hear better. And I don't know why the microphone works better over there, but I'll try this, and if it doesn't work, if you don't mind, I'll switch with you.
Yeah, I've already talked to Mr. Penn, and he's open to moving up here, and we can swap.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Whatever works for you.
Thank you.
Let us know. Okay. Yeah. Pat has a specific reason going on there. Oh, yes. Anyway, it's good to introduce everybody here. We've also got, for the new people here, the staff sits in the middle. So you've got the committee members around the outside here. I'd like to go around now and have the staff introduce themselves, and each one has their specific role. We're missing Mindy. Mindy is my committee assistant. She's gone just today, had a funeral to go to, and then she'll be back with us again on Thursday. So Nick, if you want to start it off and go on around.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, committee, and it's good to see everyone again. My name is Nick Myers. I'm with the Office of Reviser of Statutes, and this is my 13th session with the legislature, and every single session I've been here, I've staffed this committee, and I really do enjoy this committee. This is an area of the law and the issues that are involved in this committee. It all is something that the more you learn, the less you know, and I love it. I love it. So thank you.
Good morning, committee. My name is Jessie. I'm also with the Reviser of Statutes office. I assist Nick with all the bill drafting, and this is my 5th session, and I've always done some sort of utilities or energy work while with the office.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Walter Schmidt. I'm with the Legislative Research Office. This is my 2nd session. I also worked Senate Utilities last year, but this is my first time on House Utilities. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. I'm Nicole Fielder. I was lucky enough to be on this committee last year, and I'm returning again for my 2nd session, and I'm with Legislative Research.
Hello, my name is Cole Hill. I am the AV tech for 582, and I'm excited to be here and meet everybody.
There you go. No, I appreciate you all of you being here. For the new ones, you'll interface quite a bit with the staff here. Revisor's office, if you're carrying bills or rather writing bills or wanting them introduced, that's who you're going to work with on this side. If you've got research questions going on, it's the individuals on this side, and the one on the end is doing the IT. I'd also like to open it up. If there's anybody out there, we've got a lot of familiar faces out here in the audience. If you'd like to come up and just introduce who you are and who you represent. I'm not going to ask everybody, but if you'd like to, the microphone is open to you. And we've got a couple new people here, just it might be beneficial to them. People, well, maybe not quite as tall as you, but we're good. So.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Snyder. I represent 3 organizations that interact in this committee at some level. One is the Natural Resources Defense Council, NRDC. Another is Storm Fisher Hydrogen. The one I'm most active with, and you'll see the most about, is Kansans for Lower Electric Rates.
Anyone else would like to come up?
Chair Delpatang, members of the committee. My name is Joseph Astrap, and I'm the new Consumer Counsel for the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board, or CURB. We are a government agency here in Topeka that provide representation for the interest of residential and small commercial ratepayers. I've been with CURB since 2019, but I just moved into my new role with David Nichols' retirement this past couple weeks. So thank you for the opportunity to come up and introduce myself, and I look forward to meeting with you and working on some important work this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn Ratz, Kansas Corporation Commission. I've been with the commission since 2016, but you'll be seeing me more frequently this session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Laura Lutz. I am the Director of Government Affairs for Evergy, and most of you around the table will remember that Evergy was formed from the merger in 2018 of Kansas City Power and Light and Westar Energy, and this is my 12th session, I believe, and really look forward to working with you all. One thing I did want to say is if you are in our service territory, if your district is in our service territory, and you have from time to time inquiries from constituents, you are more than welcome to give me a call, and I can hook them up with the right people within Evergy to address their situation. So probably at some point you will get a call from a constituent. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Laura.
Morning, committee. Mr. Chairman, Nathaniel Blank with Watkins Public Strategies. Really excited to work with you all and happy to be here. We represent the Kansas Independent Oil and Gas Association, Idea Tech, the American Heart Association. Stay tuned for that one. That's interesting. And the Clean Energy Business Council. So thank you.
And take note of that to the committee members who have been here a while. Cuyahoga, that has been traditionally Ed Cross. So that's now you guys.
That's correct, Chairman.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Patrick Vogelsberg, and I'm with Kansas Gas Service. We're a natural gas utility in the kind of the eastern 2/3 of the state. So similar to Laura, if constituent issues do come up, I'm happy to field those calls, and some of you are familiar with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, committee members, Darren Miller, Vice President, AT&T Kansas. If you have questions, you can call Lane back here. He works for me. But appreciate the time and look forward to working with you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Reagan McLeod, I'm the Director of Government Relations for Kansas Electric Cooperatives. Been with KEC since 2022. I will echo the same things that Patrick and Laura said. If you have cooperative members in your district that have any complaints, get a hold of me and I'll make sure to point you in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. It's a pleasure to be here before you this morning. My name is Kimberly Genscher-Swati. This is the start of my 25th legislative session and my 21st specifically in Kansas. So I've largely focused in the energy space in my career. So I am very blessed to get to work with all of the municipally owned electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater utilities. So there's several hundred of them spread around the state. So again, echoing what my colleagues have said, if you have questions, whether it's on the electric, natural gas, water, wastewater side, a little bit telecommunications, feel free to give me a call at any time, and I'm more than happy to try and work with you and your communities to answer those questions. Also, I have the great fortune to represent the entire clean energy industry in the state of Kansas. So that's wind, solar, hydrogen, energy storage systems, and we do a lot in the transmission space as well. So you'll hear there's quite a lot of conversation around those topics and how we're going to continue to meet our generation needs, power needs, and we'll start that conversation off on Thursday morning. So it's a pleasure to get to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Steve Cowan, Black Hills Energy. We're a natural gas utility, and like my counterparts, happy to help. Thank you.
Hello, Claudia Hassan with Kansas Farm Bureau. We represent about 30,000 farm and ranch families through our 105 county farm bureaus. So every county that you represent has a county farm bureau. Myself, our contract lobbyist, Divine Donnelly and Murray, and our director of our legal counsel, Wendy Grady, are here to be resources for you as we push forward our member-driven policy. So we look forward to interacting with you and appreciate the opportunity this morning.
Thank you for being here.
Good morning. I'm Allie Devine. I'm today representing Midwest Energy. Midwest Energy serves about 40 counties in north central Kansas, 93,000 customers. And as Claudia said, we also do contract work with Farm Bureau. Thank you.
Always have to move the mic down. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Eric Sexton. I'm glad to be here. I am the government affairs consultant for Folston Siefkin Law Firm. We are a business law firm that represents kind of all of the above in energy. We also have some specific clients who are developers. One of my clients is here today, Brian Metters from XL Services is here. And then we also represent Deriva Energy, who is a wind company that's in Ford and Gray County. And we're glad to be here. And as most of my colleagues have said, who are great to work with, is that if there are things we can do with our resources with the law firm, we want to be here to be a resource for all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is John Idu, excuse me, with Brightspeed. We are a broadband and phone provider in 119 communities throughout Kansas. With the Brightspeed team are Mike Murray and Karen Brownlee in the back row. And if you have any questions, concerns, constituents, complaints, feel free to hit any one of us. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Garagiola with the Kansas Livestock Association. I'm our associate counsel as well as lobbyist, and I represent our roughly 5,700 ranchers across the state of Kansas, and happy to be a resource for all of you. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Megan Bottenberg. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for Cox Communications. We have 800 employees throughout the entire state. And we are still a family-owned company, 125 years old and happy to be here in Kansas. Our biggest issues are broadband, making sure that all providers are treated fairly and equitably, so to speak, in the marketplace, but also ensuring that those federal dollars for broadband are going to the unserved and the underserved residents here in Kansas, and that the dollars are transparent in how they are spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Eric Sartorius. I'm the Executive Director of the Communications Coalition of Kansas. Those are your rural independent telephone companies, broadband companies. 100 years ago, they were your little telephone companies. We serve just about every nook and cranny of Kansas that does not have tens of thousands of people in it. And as many have said, if there are ever any issues or questions about service or access, for any of our members, feel free to touch base with me, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with any of them, and look forward to the conversations this year.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Phil Wages with Kansas Electric Power Cooperative, also known as KEPCO. KEPCO is a generation and transmission electric cooperative headquartered in Topeka, and we're responsible for supplying the capacity, energy, and transmission service for our 16-member rural electric cooperatives.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Whitney Dameron. I'm a contract lobbyist. I've been doing this for 39 years. I represent Kansas Gas Service, work with Patrick Vogelsberg. I represent Liberty Utilities, which is an investor-owned electric company in Southeast Kansas and Representative Smith's area, Phillips 66, Southern Star Central Gas Pipeline, and I also work with Invenergy with Kimberly and Josh Swatty.
You, Whitney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Not sure if we can allow you to talk, can we?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Longtime listener, first-time caller. It's great to be with you this morning. I've worked with many of you. For those of you who are new, my name is Blaine Finch. I am a former legislator, recovering politician. I have a contract lobbying firm with my partner, Fred Patton. We represent ITC, transmission company. We represent Kansas Electric Co-ops, you heard from Reagan earlier, and we also represent Charter Communications, who does business as Spectrum Home Internet, predominantly in the Johnson County and Wyandotte County areas. So look forward to working with you, Mr. Chairman, and working with all of you as members of the committee. Thank you.
And for the new people on here, 4 years ago, he was sitting in my chair here. He's well known around. Anyone else like to come up?
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Mike Murray. My clients before this committee would be NextEra Energy Resources and NextEra Energy Transmission. NextEra is the world's largest builder of wind, solar, and battery storage. This is my 30th legislative session, so I guess I am the poster boy for not knowing when to leave. So I work with Shahira Stafford, who represents a number of clients, including NextEra, and Karen Brownlee back here. And then we work closely with Kimberly Swatty on all kinds of issues that you will be hearing about. So
thank you. Good to see you again. Anyone else? And then we had, anyway, I thank you everybody for being here. It's going to be a good session here. And we've got another representative that walked in. Jesse, would you like to just introduce yourself to the people and where you located? And
Sure, happy to. Jesse Bourgeon, I represent the 52nd House District, which is the west and southwest part of Topeka here. So I am grateful to be back on utilities. Look forward to working with you all.
all righty, and Representative Penn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Representative Patrick Penn from House District 85. That's the northeast side of Wichita. Have sat on utilities for the past 2 years and very happy to be back. Look forward to working with each of you, and I appreciate all of the strong work that we produce out of this particular committee. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here. I think that's everybody introduced then at this point. With that said, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail as to why, but I've asked Nick Myers, our reviser of statutes here, to give us a talk and maybe dive a little deeper than what maybe I could into the acronyms of COMA and CORA. And most of you are probably familiar with it. Some of you may not be, but because of the size of the committee and what we do, I want everybody well versed on this and how we do not get in trouble moving forward. Nick, go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, we're passing out a memo that is from my office, the Reviser of Statutes office. And this can be a memo that goes out to every committee. And Mr. Chairman, this is an important topic for you all. COMA and CORA, the Kansas Open Meetings Act and the Kansas Open Records Act are the embodiment of public government operating in the public eye. So these are important considerations for you all to keep in mind. I'm going to start with a quick overview and some highlights of the Kansas Open Meetings Act for you all to keep in your mind. So the Kansas Open Meetings Act, COMA, applies to legislative, administrative agencies of the state, essentially any public body that receives, expends, or is funded by public monies. This includes, as I said, you all as members of the Kansas Legislature and on this committee. Some House and Senate rules create exemptions, and COMA does authorize such exemptions for things such as caucus meetings. So what does COMA require? COMA requires that meetings be open, so the public can come in and observe the meeting. Notice of the meetings be provided, and that notice be made reasonably available to those who request it. So the key thing that you have to keep in mind with COMA is, what is a meeting? The Kansas Open Meetings Act requires meetings to be open and notice to be provided. So what is a meeting? Well, a meeting is any gathering or assembly of a majority of the members of the body, of the voting members of that body, for the purpose of engaging in a discussion about the business of the body. So this is clearly a meeting right here. There's a majority of you all. And I know we're not maybe discussing the business of the body. We're not taking action on something, but this is a meeting under COMA. We are introducing members. We are kind of taking some steps on behalf of the body. So this is a meeting under COMA. The thing that gets a little tricky is how does a meeting become a meeting when you all aren't meeting in a room like this? So under COMA, they call this serial communications. So a meeting can also include interactive communications in a series if those communications involve a majority of the membership of the body, share a common topic of discussion concerning the business of the body, and are intended to reach agreement on something that the body is considering, or some business of the body. So this can involve any form of communication. So these communications could be through emails, telephone calls, just serial messages, communications between members of the body, or even using a conduit to provide those communications to the members of the body. So you really need to be careful when there's communications, especially electronic communications,
going out to all of you as members of the House Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications Committee. Once the communications start to become a reply all or start to touch every single member of, or a majority of the members of this body, you've got a meeting happening. And a meeting has to be, as I said, open to the public. So we don't want a COMA violation to occur through some serial communications, creating a meeting where the public was not involved. So some common COMA examples are that can occur where a meeting might occur is a social event or travel event where there's a majority of the members of the body present. And just be cognizant that you need to be cognizant of discussions that are involving the business of the body. Conventions, meetings of other bodies. If you all are attending a meeting of another body, just be cognizant of your discussions. Social media, email interactions. Those also can become a meeting under COMA. Now, COMA does authorize discussions to plan a meeting. Some planning meetings to just kind of set the agenda are fine with members of the body, but discussions amongst all the members of the body concerning what agenda items they want on the list or how they want the chair to set the agenda, that can constitute a meeting as well. So just be cognizant of all those discussions and those serial communications that could occur there. Again, just want to reemphasize that a meeting has to be open, and this openness has to provide reasonable access to the public in light of the circumstances. And COMA doesn't make specific requirements for accommodations as long as there's no intent to subvert the Kansas Open Meetings Act. Recording and videotaping is explicitly allowed under the Kansas Open Meetings Act, but the chairperson and the body is able to set some reasonable restrictions regarding such recording or videotaping. There is no, under COMA, there's no requirement that the public be allowed to speak or participate in the meeting, simply that the meeting be open and the public can observe the meeting. The notice that has to be provided, typically the chair designates this requirement to the committee assistant. So the notice that is required under COMA has to be provided upon a person's request. So if somebody requests notice to receive notice when this committee is meeting, Mindy will get you on the list to receive notice, and then she would send emails out to notice you of the meetings. Notice can also be provided in other means as long as that means is reasonable in light of the circumstances of the body and the meeting. So real quick on the Kansas Open Records Act, very similar. Kansas Open Records Act applies to public agencies that are funded by public funds. Typically, what we need to be careful of in the legislature and with this body is some committees are going electronic, and we're placing documents and having documents in electronic format in server files. And what the committee needs to be cognizant of is that those documents that are provided to a majority of the members of the body to the committee are also provided online and available to the public, or that they are made available when the public requests those documents. If the body gets an official KORA request, I would appreciate notice of that, and I can help Mr. Chair, you and Mindy deal with any official Kansas Open Records Act request. But typically those requests, it's just somebody asking for a record, and then we'll provide it, especially if it was one that was provided to the whole body. All public records must be disclosed. A record becomes public in this body if it's passed out to the committee. So any record that's passed out to the committee is going to be deemed a public record, and we should be providing that record to the public upon request. One thing that has caused a little bit of a stir lately is the requests for bill sponsorship from committees, otherwise known as requests for bill introduction by the committee. Oftentimes people will say, I want RS number 0001 introduced by the committee. Do you all approve? That document, unless it is passed out to the committee, that document is still protected by attorney-client privilege. And so just by referencing a RS number, or there might not be a document even available yet. There might just be a number associated with a future draft or something like that. But essentially, just by referencing that RS number, that does not authorize us to provide any document, any draft document. But now, if somebody does bring that draft to the committee and passes it out when they're introducing it, hey, look at this is what I got, then that becomes a public record and we should disclose that information. So for enforcement of these provisions, anybody who knowingly violates the provisions of KORA or KOMA is subject to a civil penalty of up to $500 for each such violation. Typically what happens instead of the civil penalty is that, and there was a recent, I think the AG recently prosecuted a local governing body for a KOMA violation. But typically what happens is the members will enter into a consent order with the Attorney General or the county or district attorney, and the attorney may order some further training regarding KOMA and KORA to stop the actions that were taken by that body and to get back on the same page with the purposes of the Kansas Open Meetings Act and the Kansas Open Records Act. And Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Oh, thank you very much, Nick. Questions, body? Representative Neighbor.
Nick, I don't know if this applies to this or not, but there are times when we've had committee chairs change meeting times because of certain likes and dislikes. Is there a window that has to be, so there's time for publication, and how does that work?
So regarding agendas, all that is in light of the circumstances. So posting of notice, the agenda is all in light of the circumstances. So a body who maybe meets quarterly, their posting of an agenda might be a little different than the legislature, who has 90 days to complete their work, and things are happening and you need to change something. But as long as there is a reasonable notice provided for that type of meeting under the circumstances that the situation that you're describing, you should be compliant with KOMA. But you still want to provide, the chairperson and wants to provide sufficient and reasonable notice even for changes such as that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. Representative Penn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Nick, for the rundown. Quick question. When it comes to work product in the committee, you said that anything that's passed out of the committee has to be posted and published for the public. And I'm a big fan of transparency. Is there ever a time that the things that we're considering in the committee that are posted in the drives or anything like that for our consideration, for our homework or whatever that case is, if it hasn't been passed out of committee, does that automatically become public as well, or notes associated with that?
It should. If the committee's using it to consider actions of the committee, and it's in some committee folder for the committee, the whole entire committee to see and consider, or it should be made available on request. And if it doesn't make the website, if Mindy doesn't upload it, or it's a very large document or something like that takes a long time to make the website right away, or we can't do that, we need to at least make that available upon request if somebody requests that type of information.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You betcha. Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Myers, for your excellent explanation. Representative Penn's question and your response, though, did trigger a concern on my part. Documents passed out, and I assume that includes distributed via email, to, quote, all members of the committee. What if it's just directed to 2 or 3, or what if it's directed to a majority, or what if it's directed to just members of the majority party? How does that work?
Yeah, that's interesting. And then we're back to, are you getting a meeting? You know, are you at a stage of, well, no, well, that's record.
I mean, for example, committee secretaries oftentimes, or committee assistants, distribute the committee materials hopefully an hour, 2, 3 hours before the meeting so that some of us have a chance to prepare or write our bill briefs. Does that mean the public is entitled to that record before the meeting even commences because it has been distributed to the committee members?
That's a good question.
And I don't know the answer either. That's why I ask you, Counselor.
I mean, it's ultimate. I mean, the timing issue between 3 hours and until, you know, the committee happens. I mean, ultimately that record's going to be a public record if it's provided to the committee. Timing wise, you know, there's no requirements under KORA that you have to hit a specific time frame to post a record online or to provide it. But if it's requested by a member of the public and it's a public record under KORA, it should be disclosed.
And the second part of the question, I think, has to do with less than the entire committee. And I'm not referring to my chair here, but on occasions, I think chairs have distributed documents to their members, the members of their party. And that's a majority of the committee. And does that make that an open record, or is that a caucus record, not necessarily subject to disclosure?
That's yes. Those are good questions. And again, that's where the concept and the cognizance of serial communications needs to really be on your minds. And that a reply all, like reply all when you're discussing an email, I mean, that can cause a meeting, that can then create records. Very good questions. I don't know that I've got all the exact answers for that right now, but I want to just impress that that's something that needs to be on all your minds.
I made the same inquiries 11 years ago of your colleague, Mr. Thompson, and your answer is essentially the same as his. Thank you.
That makes me feel good. If I'm on page with Jason Thompson, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Carmichael. Any further questions? All right. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you being here. With that, I was planning on reviewing the committee rules. You've got it as a handout. The rules for this year are still in the works. They should be available sometime this week. We'll work off these. They are the rules as of today, subject to change. Okay. So you've got the basic, and we'll update you as soon as we can. With that said, actually I should say, is there any questions upon the rules? Okay, no questions there. I would like to move on to bill introductions. Does anyone out there have any bills they would like to introduce to the committee?
Good morning again, committee. Paul Snyder representing Kansas for lower electric rates. I have two bills. The first is RS 0266 dealing with capital spending and adjustments on return of equity. The other bill, unless you need me to do these individually, is RS 0267 dealing with transmission competition. And would respectfully request the committee introduce those two bills.
Committee. Questions on either of these bills? Okay, I don't see any questions here. With that, the bills are accepted. Further bills for introduction? Not seeing any. We will move on then. I really didn't have too much more for today. Apologize for being late. Our meetings before ran a little over, but I knew it'd be a short one today. Next meeting is going to be on Thursday at 9 a.m. And we're going to move the rooms again. We're doing a joint meeting. We're going to combine the water committee along with this committee. I made an announcement yesterday. We were going to do it in 346, the old Supreme Court room, because of size of the room. That room was already kind of spoken for. It just did not get properly entered into the record. So I backed us out of it. Appropriations is going to have 346 tomorrow or on Thursday. We're going to take the appropriations room, which is a pretty sizable room also. It is 112 North. That's 112 North. And I will try and make an announcement publicly on that one too. Plus, always, for the new people, always watch the bulletin boards around here. We'll post the agenda up there. If there's a movement or something like that, it will be posted up there. But we are specifically joining the two committees. We're going to have hearings on the Grain Belt Express to try and figure out for sure publicly what it is, how much of it's done, where's it going, and what's the purpose of it. And it should be an interesting meeting, though. With that, any questions from anybody? All right, I appreciate everybody being here, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.